Hi guys, and welcome to another edition of Ball Over Passion. And we've got a special one for you today. We've got DJ Selenki himself, the guy that runs the Emirates DJ booth at the ground. So say hi, mate.
What's happening, people? I hope you guys are all good. Thank you for having me on as well, by the way. Absolute privilege. So yeah, let's talk Arsenal, man. Let's talk
Let's
Arsenal.
let's to Arsenal because so for me, like having someone that works in the club, it's always nice to hear about like their backgrounds. How if it's an Arsenal background, if you've come into the club organically. So how did you actually get into the club? Is it a childhood thing? Was it later on? What was that like?
Yeah, I mean, my dad is an Arsenal fan,
Mm.
and we're going back now. I'm going to be showing my age here, but I remember like my first sort of scenes of football. What kind of grabbed me was when Arsene joined Arsenal, and it was like Arsenal. That was always weird, and I was about 7 years old. So to me, I always saw the two, and I thought, oh, this is meant to be like this club was created for him, for example. 'Cause I just thought, how the hell is the manager's name sort of so similar to the team. So that was the first thing that kind of got me into Arsenal. I thought that's kind of cool. And whatever was on TV, my dad always had Arsenal on, so I was always watching Arsenal regardless. And then you see people like Dennis Bergkamp, Overmars, Ian Wright. You're sort of you just get hooked, and we were winning. Do you know what I mean?
We
So
were winning, man.
my first season was the double in '98. So it's I just thought this is what life is. This is how it's going to be like forever. So, and then I think properly watching game by game was France '98, the World Cup,
Mm.
and then it was like Arsenal have won the World Cup because of Vieira, Petit, and so on. So it was a bit like, that's how I kind of got in. My dad would never admit who he supported though, which was kind of weird. I think he just didn't want to influence like the whole family. I don't know why, but yeah, I got into it like that, and I grew up in Northwest London, so I'm literally halfway between like Arsenal and like QPR, not too far from
Yeah,
QPR, but I was sort of
yeah.
like more closer to Arsenal. So yeah, so it was a bit like support a local team, if you will, and it was like yeah, of course, yeah, Arsenal winning, and I just loved it. I loved the players, so that's how I got into it, literally back in the day.
I mean, it's funny you mentioned that because mine is quite similar. My first season was the double as well, and I'll tell you what. Unlike you, my dad was a United supporter, and
Interesting.
so growing up, I was like before I really got into football. If like when I was like 5 or 6, maybe 7, I just I had like everything United. But then I remember when I was about 6 or 7, I went to my dad and I went, let's go to a game. Let's go to a game. Let's see. We can go to a game. He was like, I'm not taking you to Manchester. Are you mental? And I'm like, why am I supporting a club if I can't even go to the games or like be immersed in the culture? You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
at that point in time, it was either be a United fan or. And literally, I had a period where I was like, you know what, let's go look around all the London clubs and see if there's one that vibes with me. And the only one that
Yeah.
vibed with me was Arsenal. It just felt like, especially at that time when Wenger came in, it was sort of like there was like a culture. It was different. So for me, that's how I got into Arsenal, and it's been like that ever since. I mean, I think because we're quite similar in age, so
Mm.
it's like we understand like it's like the long term time scale of things, and it's different because I feel like with a lot of fans today, and I had this. I don't know if you have this. A lot of the younger fans are so starved of success that they've sort of turned on their own selves. Like they're just sort of like, I just even though I support the club, I hate everything about it.
I see
And
what
they,
you're saying. Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, no, it's actually interesting when you think about it because whenever I look at every Arsenal fan, I feel like they've had the same experience as me. And
Mm.
yet, lo and behold, we've got fans that are born after the Invincible season who are fans who, or people who may have been too young to notice about the times we were winning league titles. So it's, well, as you said it kind of made me realize, oh, yeah, of course, people's experiences of supporting a team is so different. Um, and it kind of makes me understand now why, say, the newer school are a bit more kind of erratic, where one week they could be loving everything Arsenal, then they could be hating it the next, and it could be, you might see people like I'm seeing Man City fans now in London, which is odd to me.
Wild.
It's absolutely wild. And I used to feel like that when I first saw Chelsea fans, but obviously because Chelsea's in London, you thought nothing too much of it. But now to see Man City sort of hoodies and stuff like that, and I'm thinking, that's interesting. But then this is their 98 double for them. Do you know what I mean? Like this is the time they're living in. So yeah, that's a very good point. And it's kind of made me, I wouldn't say sympathize as such, but I understand now. I understand sort of the anger or the extreme annoyance, if you will.
Like imagine that. My thing is why, and this is why I sympathize with a lot of the younger fans. And it's not, I'm not trying to be condescending in any way, but like a lot of our fans have never actually seen us win the league, and it's sort of like, so I get it. I get why the anger is there and the resentment is there, and to only experience the later Wenger years when things were sort of on the downscope, and the Emery years, and now with Arteta, I understand that if you don't have that same that same sort of outer, how can I put it, that same sort of like outlook on things that we do. But yeah, I mean, when I think about Arsenal, and in terms of like going back and thinking about where we've been, like what would you think is your favorite Arsenal memory going back?
Oh man, there's so many. I must admit, there's so many that come to mind, where like the first thing that came into my head obviously was Anelka going through against Newcastle United in the FA Cup final, and I remember thinking like, this is just too easy. Like this is like, and then just little moments like 2002 where Perez was just playing out of his skin, and he, unfortunately with his injury, but he was a shoo-in to be player of the year. He was unbelievable. I remember at the end of the season when the team sort of bowed down to him.
I remember.
It was like, they kind of remembered like how important he was that season. Obviously, winning at Old Trafford. I mean, come on. Me and my mum. My mum is so hilarious. She bought me and my cousin the gold kit literally the day before that game. So the kit that they wore, and then they went to win. And I just remember thinking like, this is the best moment in my life. Then you go again and you think about the unbeaten season. Now imagine I was like 14 in the unbeaten season, and we're not losing games. Like we don't lose matches in the league, right? So you think to yourself, this is the best thing ever. And I remember Man City at home. I don't know if you remember this game. It was raining and it was 0-0 for a long, long time.
Yeah.
Henry takes the ball to the left side of the sort of penalty area, and he just blasts it straight into like the. When he scored that, he did the massive knee slide. That was a big mark for the knee slide. Oh my God. Every time he did it, I was just like, I pretend to do the same, rip my skin, the whole lot. But yeah, when he did that kind of moment reminded me like that was the pivot. I know people talk about the Liverpool game at home, that season, but for me, that Man City one was where I was like, we're going to do it. Like the league's done. It's wrapped. Because it was one of the hardest games we played. And I think it was like a Monday night. I don't know. It was a nighttime game. I don't know if it was like a Sunday, but I thought it was like Monday night or something. But then, obviously Van Nistelrooy. I mean, dude, I could be here all day.
All day.
I could give you 100
me too, man.
things. I could give you 100 things. So
like,
yeah.
If for me, I'm gonna go to Z as well because I want to get his one as well. For me, in terms of home, I think Leeds at home, that Invincible season. If you remember, do you remember that game? The 5,
when Henry for 5 minutes just turned the gas on.
Gas on. It was that's one of my favorite games at home. Away, I think has to be the Wilsord goal at Old Trafford has to be. But like in the newer era, I think I didn't get because I live quite close to Wembley, so I wish I could have got tickets to the 14 FA Cup final, but instead I went to the screening at the ground.
Oh yeah.
So when Cazorla scored that free kick, and
dude, I was at the screening as well.
Were you actually?
Yeah, as a fan. Like I was there as a fan. Yeah.
That's crazy.
I think that's the whole one, isn't it? Of course.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. I was, and they kept turning off the TVs because people were running on the pitch.
I have a selfie from like center circle. Like,
oh my God. So you got on there, yeah?
Got on there.
Oh
Yeah,
mate,
that
yeah.
was a great time. Great
What were
time.
you like at 2-0 down? How did you feel at 2-0 down? Or even
I,
maybe the third?
Jeez.
You know, like when Gibbs clears it off the line, like what
yeah,
was you
yeah, yeah.
thinking there? Like,
Bro, well, at 2-0 down,
oh,
I'm not gonna lie, because I'll say this now, I've never left a game early, but that was the one time I was like, bro,
Damn.
I don't want to get knocked 5. I don't want to be here if I get knocked for 5
It's
against Hull.
it's because it's happened so often under Arsene Wenger that you saw in the FA Cup final, it's like, oh, it's gonna happen again. It's that it was like almost the repeat of the Carling Cup final against Birmingham. I was like, oh, not
yeah.
again. Honestly, but I actually can't believe we turned it around. I think it was probably it was my first experience actually as winning a cup, because look, I'm a much younger fan than you guys, but
Right.
it was honestly a great moment for all Arsenal fans.
Is it crazy for me to say I never worried, even at 2-0 down? I think
No, it's not crazy.
the Gibbs clearance, I think, made
Mm.
me feel confident. I think if the goal had gone in, when I think Fabianski does a mile and then Gibbs clears it off the line, I think if it was 3, then maybe my head turns. But even at 2-0, I was like, it's Hull. Come on, this is Hull City.
Yeah,
Like, come
yeah.
on.
Yeah.
But yeah, oh god, what a day.
But that free kick though, that free kick is
Unbelievable.
Sanity.
I don't think Santi, man. Like I still think like people say to me that they think like Fabregas is the first Emirates. For me, to actually win a trophy with that sort of free kick, I don't think, for me, Santi is my favorite Emirates player, because like just both feet, the vibes of the guy, he's just both feet, magician, the ability to create from deep. That Man City performance away from home is one of my favorite performances.
Oh god,
But
yeah.
but yeah,
I mean, what about the Liverpool one, man?
the
Speaking
Liverpool
of,
one.
obviously we've got Liverpool this weekend, but
This is what I'm saying.
his game, his first goal and his football, the way he played at Anfield that day with
That was amazing.
Podolski. I love the purple and black kit. There's everything about it that I just love.
Yeah, that was amazing. That's our last win at Anfield in the league as well.
I can't believe that.
No
That's
way.
mental.
I
Yeah,
genuinely can't believe that, because that's what's been going around at during the week, and I was like, really, 2012? Like, come on, boys.
It's mad. It's mad.
Yeah, it's
It's
mad.
it's mad though, because like when I started supporting Arsenal, Anfield was our home, like literally our second home. Like every time we used to go to Anfield, we'd either come away with a win or a draw. Like there was no losing there. But I don't know, man. Ever since Klopp came in, man, oh god, we've been getting the wrong like turn of the games, man. I'm hoping it changes tomorrow. Honestly,
I mean, have you been to? Because I haven't been to Anfield. Have you been to Anfield as an away fan?
Do you know what? I've stopped going to Anfield. Let's put it that way. Because every time I went up there,
jeez.
I was eating 3, I was eating 4, I was eating 5. I said, nah, it's time to knock it on the head. I knocked Anfield on the head. I tried to get tickets for this weekend, but it was a joke. You couldn't get anything. But man, yeah, Anfield is not a place I like going to, man. But it's probably my most visited away ground, between that and
Really?
Goodison. Yeah, between that and Goodison. I don't know why. Like I love Goodison Park, because it's actually a really good atmosphere. If you ever get the chance to go Goodison before they knock it down, yeah, it's a fantastic ground to go to, in my opinion. But yeah, unfortunately, I've been to Liverpool where we've picked nothing. We would do well to score a goal. Let's put it that way.
By the way, if this is going up, but if we're recording this before the Liverpool game, this will be out Monday. But
right,
just in case,
yes,
if we get something, what a performance!
Yeah.
But yeah, like when you're, because the thing is, another thing I want to attach into, because as fans, like when you're working for Arsenal, like, does that change how you view the club as a fan, or how does that impact your fan experience?
Yeah, I mean, fortunately enough, like, because my role per se is sort of to cater to the fans as such, so it's like, how do I cater to myself, because I am a fan nonetheless, right? So it's a bit more, it's less more so, like people have to be kind of very corporate or very PR or very, sort of politically correct and so on and so forth. Whereas for me, it's a case of when if I don't feel it, then I'm not in the right job. Does that make sense? I'm the wrong person for the job.
Total
Let's say.
sense. Yeah.
Let's put it that way. So when the fans are not happy and they're gutted, I should also feel gutted, and then that way I can do my job accordingly. Does that make sense? Because
Total sense.
if I still come all upbeat and everything, we've been beaten by Man City at home or whatever, right? And I come in upbeat and it's like, hey guys, next game and sort of thing, and or play something that's very like upbeat. It's like you haven't read the room here.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's actually quite beneficial in my opinion.
I mean, by the way, have you seen the allocation for Man City at home? It's peak.
No. What is
It's
that?
like every it's just empty. No one's fancying it. Everyone's looking for
Really?
Yeah, no one's fancying it at all. Like there's so many open seats.
Do you know what though, man? I mean, a 12:30 kickoff on New Year's Day. Who's picking these games? I shouldn't feel sorry for them, but for all the Mancs that are coming down, what day are they arriving? What do you do New Year's Eve? No one's partying.
Even the Man City fans aren't coming. You know what? That's the only game that I'm not going to go to this year. That's the only home game I'm not going to this year. You know
why? Why won't you go?
I don't know. I just have that gut feeling where it's the same.
Because we're gonna get banged. Let's be real.
Yeah, I just feel like that's the only game we'll get banged, and I don't want to see that. I don't want to see that in real, man.
But you don't. Do you always go because we're gonna win games?
No, I don't go. No. Obviously, no. I go to game with a feeling of winning every game. But the fact is, that game is just like you just know in the first minute, Raheem Sterling's gonna score because someone's mistimed their header. It's happened so many times.
I think what it is. With football, for some people, it's a religion. Come good or high, hell or high water, if you will. They're ridiculous, and it's an addiction, man. You sometimes I like going when the tide is literally against us, like because I don't know why, I just want to be there and sort of bring it in, because when the times get good again, it's like, oh no, I can remember being in this rough spot. And my dad's been a fan for, I don't know, decades, right? So he's seen the 80s when it was dross, like Arsenal were doing absolutely nothing. And yes, okay, 89 we did win the league, but you talk to him and he would say, listen mate, you lot think it's bad now. We were getting angry at finishing fourth, right? Yeah. And he was like, you have another thing coming, mate. I want to take you back to the 80s. So you sit here when we lose to like Luton in a final, or we lose to West Ham or whatever it is, and you just watch the 80s where, the drought was unbelievable. So I don't know. For me, I want to be at the Man City game, working or not. I want to be there. I want to be right in the mix of it, because you just never know, innit? It's 90 minutes of football. Who knows?
I tell you what, if we start going on a run and we start, if we start winning a few games in December, and we're touching distance to Man City, I'm telling you that stadium is going to be filled. It's going to be filled up as soon as you see. I'm telling you right now, probably not now, but if we are in terms of the table, that stadium's going to be full.
I mean, you forget how close we are to City right now. Like, people don't realize, they aren't they aren't like as far as we think they are. Like, there is a level above that we need to get to, obviously, but there's like, in terms of like defensive solidity and looking forward to going into the future, like, we have an extremely young squad that we can, in the next few years. Like, I remember someone saying, there's that picture where in Shrek, and that guy has all the knives to his throat.
Yeah.
And he goes, and it's always like, give a footballing opinion about your club that people will give you this reaction to. Yes. So I quoted it and I went, if we get top 4 and we spend correctly, we can be in a title charge next season, because the thing is, like, if you look at Man City and Liverpool, Liverpool are still amazing, both amazing teams, but Liverpool are aging a bit. Man City are still, I think they're too in their own head at this moment in time. They don't really want to do simple things. They want to try and go like Galaxy Pep brain every sort of, like, they can't just sign a striker, like, for God's sake. It's very simple, just sign a goddamn striker and you'll be fine. But like, there's a lot of things that can go either way. So I don't really see it in terms of like it will happen. Obviously, we're obviously going to be in a title race. I'm not even saying win the title, by the way. I'm saying we can make a challenge and we can make a go of it. So I don't know. Maybe it's just me waffling, but like it's a case where you just I don't mind putting my opinion out there, and I'm sure as a fan yourself, like there must be things, and there's times in the past where we've had this as well, where we've been like, I remember 0809 when we were like we were there, we were there, man. Just didn't like remember with that Gala season where everything just kind of just
it just collapsed.
It just collapsed, man.
There's many. I mean, I even think 2011. You know, the thing is, when you finish third and fourth, you think nobody thinks you were in the title race to begin with. But you know, you look at. I remember even the 09-10 season, and I just remember Almunia, like he frustrated the hell out of me, and he cost us like, I want to say 10 to 12 points. And yet we lost the league by that amount. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. And yet, was it 2011 when we couldn't hold a lead? We 2-0 up at Spurs, we lost 3-1 there. We lost Newcastle, we lost Liverpool. I think in 100 minutes we scored a penalty and we still left with 1 point. Just little things like that. You just thought,
my God.
That was the Vermaelen and Koscielny season when neither of them could stay fit, and we were just sort of like trying to we're just trying to fashion together a defense out of something. We were using like Squillaci or whatever.
Oh God.
Senderos.
If there's one regret I have ever, if I get the opportunity to ask Arsene Wenger ever a question, I would ask why Almunia and Fabianski. Just explain that one to me, because those were our number 1 and 2 goalkeepers for a good 3-4 years.
Yeah,
he's never had a good goalkeeping ID. That's what it is. He's never look. Think about it in his years. Aside from Lehmann, who was a good goalkeeper under Arsene Wenger?
You wouldn't say Cech at the time of purchase.
No, I think at the time of purchase, yes, but as soon as he came in, like he was actually very bad for us. And I think the only good one that was there was Szczesny, but even then, like. He was quite young at the time, so
man was smoking in the showers, for God's sake. Like he was mental.
He was so talented, though. The frustrating thing with Szczesny, it's a bit like Adebayor. They were talented players, but they just needed a brain transplant, for crying out loud. just something where you just thought like they could really get it together and really become. Yeah, and to be fair to Szczesny, he went to Italy and realized it's not a laugh over there. Yeah. And you know, he beat Alisson to his Roma place, and then he went and got the Juve job. So fair play. You know, when he puts his head to it, he was always a good goalkeeper. You could be right there, Z. I mean, you know, Seaman he had, but then in signing Lehmann for the amount he signed him for, he was pretty good, very good purchase. Didn't lose a game for a year, so he done all right. But I don't know. For me, I feel more so defenders was where his weak point was. He just didn't buy, or you know, whether he didn't coach it well or whatever. Because he was gifted with an amazing back 4, back 5 when he joined. Replacing that to be fair, replacing that in the unbeaten season was magic. But you know, it was like we'll get Campbell here. Torre, who wasn't even a centre half at the time, he will move him in. Lauren wasn't even a right back then.
No.
Ashley Cole, you know, once in the blue moon generational talent there. But then after that, you know, your Johan Giroud you mentioned, and Silvestris and Squillaci, Senderos. I mean, Senderos met Senderos was good, and then he met Drogba, and that was the end of his career.
Like, even with you know what it is for me is like. Things like Colo Torres' trial, things that stand out to me. Like I just feel like he had this penchant for like mental people. Like he loved like insane personalities, and like his job was to try and like harness that insanity and just sort of make it something that would be great on the pitch. Like even with players like even Denilson. You remember Denilson? Like Denilson was.
Do I? Sideways Denilson.
Jesus Christ. But like people used to like. What I find hilarious is the newer fans go on about El Neni and how he's like sideways. I was like, bro, you did not meet Denilson. You have no idea. Like what
at least El Neni could give you like a worldie of a goal every now and again, right? Or so, you know, he tackled, but Denilson literally. I mean, it was left and right, and that was the end. That was the end of his 90 minutes.
Like
when we signed him, it was like, oh, there's a young Brazilian kid. Here we go. You know what I mean?
Always the Brazilian thing. It's the Brazilian thing.
Yeah, Wellington Silva. I was waiting for Wellington Silva. Joe Campbell finally, obviously he's not Brazilian, but Joe Campbell came into the scene. I thought, oh, here we go, finally, because
Yeah.
it took him forever to get games, didn't he? Because he signed ages before he played in 2016. And 2016, I forgot about that title race. God, that hurt. That one hurt me the most. I think that title race hurt me the most because beating Leicester, was it Valentine's Day? Beating Leicester at the time, Leicester were, everyone was talking about them. I thought, yep, Welbeck's header. I was like, here's the title. Here we go. This is it.
I'll tell you something, right? So I was in my last couple of years at uni in 2016, right? I was living with two of my mates, and we're all three of us were Arsenal fans, and we sat down for that Leicester game, and basically our uni class was like a couple of Spurs fans, and this is abroad as well. This isn't even in England. This is abroad. So a couple of Spurs fans, a couple of Arsenal, a couple of United fans, and I remember I got so hyped. I literally went, "We're winning the title. I don't care what anyone says. We're winning the title this year." And one of my roommates just went to me, "Say it for Snapchat," and send it to all my mates, and they've all got it. I was at one of them's bachelor party last year, and he still brings it up. He's just like, for God's sake, leave me alone, man.
Honestly. It's still a fun, and the thing is, it's not even like, oh yeah, we missed it by a little bit. We were 10 points off Leicester. Like, what the heck? What happened? What on earth happened? Do you know what I mean? Like, we absolutely collapsed towards the end.
Did you celebrate the Hazard goal? I celebrated that shit like anything.
Are you joking? You better believe it. So my brother's Chelsea, right? He's the rebel in the family, right? So he's Chelsea, and I was sitting there. Tottenham went 2-0 up, didn't they, in that game? Yeah. And I remember thinking, the one time I need Chelsea to give me a result, this is what they're giving. This is what they're dishing at me at halftime, right? But then when Hazard scored that goal, my God, the whole house just went up. Like,
I celebrated more than Vardy's house did. I don't care what anyone says. They won the title. I won that. That was fine. But yeah,
thank God. Imagine.
How many, there's so many, the thing is, when you talk about the past and you look at where we are now, and do you feel that there's been a change in the culture this season, around the ground, or in behind the scenes, or do you feel like there's something different going on now, or is it sort of just too early to say, sort of thing?
Where are we? November, right? There is that, but at the stadium itself, I don't know. The crowd's been very, 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 very antsed. They've been up for it. They're pumped. Yeah. Now that could be combined with the fact that we've had 18 months where we couldn't go to a game. It could also be the fact that Mikel's come in, and we needed something new, didn't we? After Emery, it was Emery, we were hoping it went well, and to be fair to Emery, it wasn't as bad as I think as it was made out. But Mikel gave us the FA Cup, right? So that's one thing. And then this year it was what? We've heard Edu talk. We've heard Mikel speak. We want him to, things to be his team. All the players he's got now at his disposal, he either renewed contracts for, or he's bought new players. And so it's a case of, look, let's just get behind the team. Let's just see what happens. Because I don't think any Arsenal fan, well, let me not say any, but majority of Arsenal fans, I don't think necessarily have an expectation of as to where they should finish. But we want to see us just playing well again. We just want to see, let's enjoy Arsenal. Because I think the last 4 or 5 years, people haven't enjoyed Arsenal,
Yeah.
And that's because, do you remember the Wenger time? It was people were saying Wenger out, blah, blah. But then in the stadium, it was kind of a different story.
Yeah, totally.
They were still together, right? But then there came a point where I think everybody was fed up. Everybody was a bit just anxious. And in first 5 minutes, if you misplaced the pass, the crowd got onto it. I could hear it from club level. That's when if people are getting antsy even in the corporate seats and so on, then you knew, okay, look, something just needs to work out. But I do think something is different atmosphere-wise, 100%, no doubt.
Yeah, for sure. I've been to a couple of games. I was at Watford, I was at Palace, and you can see the people talk about that Palace game, and they're like, oh, you guys celebrated a win. What's the matter with you? Not a win, celebrated a draw against Palace. What the hell's the matter with you? And you're like, bro, strangers were hugging each other, for God's sake. We would people were not because of the result, because of the situation, and to nick a point when you don't earn a point. And what I find hilarious is when you look at I'm not even talking about Twitter, because forget Twitter, but like the general fan base is like there's a lot of entities that are like, oh, you should never celebrate a draw, winning mentality, and you think we're not champions material right now. Like, you do realize that, right? We're not Man City, we're not Liverpool, but we are. Well, there is a situation right now between, I would say, about 4th to about 8th or 9th, that there is a lot of like okay-ish to good teams. Not like you look at us, United, because I'm sorry, like mate, if you've seen the channel, we've had literally months of ragging on United. I've had them.
Yeah.
We've all had fifth. We all had them finishing 5th at the beginning of the season. Forget like now. So we've had months of this, and then there's like Leicester, like West Ham. But the thing is with Leicester and West Ham is European football and squad management and injury management for me is going to be a massive thing. Spurs are crap, but they do have Conte, and he will drill them. But the fact of the matter is, he's never taken a team mid-season, and without a pre-season to do his usual Conte insane drill sergeant mechanics, it's sort of like, who knows how long it's going to take for him to get them up.
It's been a long time since he's had a terrible team like this as well. So, who's to say? I could see him sort of getting fed up and just walking away from it, because
me too, man.
It's such a mess. But I think, to your point there, I think as well, like, we should the celebrating the draw thing. I mean, you're never going to please people. I mean, there's always going to be people that are going to be livid about everything. But as you put it into context, we're in a game where we did not deserve anything out of that, and yet we nicked away a point. Now, back in the day, Arsenal would have folded, as they usually, as they would say, if we're not playing well,
that's it.
The wind blows the other way, right?
Yeah.
And it's 3 and 4 goals conceded and whatever else. This time we're actually holding our own, even in the 1-0s against like Norwich and Burnley. Weren't that impressive, but there were moments. We're getting 3 points per game, and then the draw against Palace, how we robbed them, absolutely. I remember when Klopp was at Liverpool, when at the beginning stages of Liverpool, wasn't it West Brom?
Yeah, 2-2. They did the whole rah-rah thing at the wasteland.
Exactly. He took it a step further and went over to the Kop end, and it was like, what's he doing?
Yeah.
And for him, it was a case of, listen, I need unity out of everything in this in order for things to work. And once people started because some of the Liverpool fans were a bit like, well, hang on, what's going on here? Who's this guy think he is? But his results have shown over time, look, trust me, I've got this. And I think Arteta speaks very, very well. He's very, very convincing. I remember his very first press conference when he joined, and I was like, "Yo, dude, man, show me the money." Like, he was talking a very good game. And I think, obviously, some results didn't go according to plan. We finished 8th twice. I understand all of that. We've also got an FA Cup in the midst of all of that. Hell. It's one of those. I think if everybody decides to sort of back it, if you all are like united in one way, crazy stuff can happen. Crazy stuff can absolutely happen. I agree with you, Man United. That 4th spot is up for grabs.
Sure.
Whereas before a ball was kicked, I thought, maybe that top 4's locked. Let's aim for 5th. Let's see what happens. But who knows? I mean, the Leicester point, the West Ham point, absolutely spot on. Long term, that Europa League stuff is going to hurt them. The squads ain't big enough. It's not strong enough. It hurts the best teams. So never mind, with all due respect to Leicester and West Ham, never mind these guys who are, West Ham especially, novices in Europe, as well as trying to compete at the sharp end of the table. So it's there. I think, what it is, where I stand at the moment, I just don't know which is the real Arsenal yet. I genuinely don't know. I know we've had a good run, don't get me wrong. But
fair point.
It's almost just like, okay, well, the acid test might be Anfield, and if we get piped, then it's like, well, what is it? So who are we really? Do you know what I mean? Are we still the same old, or is there a bit more of a consistency? Forget the big teams. If we beat everybody else below us, we'll be fine. Do you know what I mean? So
yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Like for me, I'll tell you what it is like, if we get piped, I will be extremely surprised. I don't think we're getting piped. I just don't. I don't feel like that's what's going to happen. But if it does, fair play to Liverpool, because they are a very, very good team, and they've proven over the last 3 or 4 years that they are up there in terms of quality and just world class talent. So I've always said to them, look, respect Liverpool. Do not be scared of Liverpool because there's nothing to fear. Like if you look at we're going to get into it in the Liverpool preview but like if you look at the injuries they have, it's in key areas. Central midfield. Like if you're going to be playing Thiago, Ox, and Fabinho, I'm sorry, but like there will be spaces available. There will be space in that midfield. Like it's not like you've got if Henderson is out, or the fact they haven't got Keita, who is, let's be real, been one of their best players this season. So there is areas to exploit, and it's for me. It's just I just want to see. I totally agree with you about which is the real Arsenal so far, because even though it's been 10 games and there is a clear style of play, there's a clear vision and ambition for what this team needs to be in terms of footballing wise. We need to see it at the biggest stage, because the 2 times we have this season, we got piped twice, Chelsea and City. So we'll see.
But then, and even then, those 2 defeats came sort of, when our team was
holding Mari, man.
Exactly. Well, do you know what I mean? So this is the first test, I would say. Because I thought Villa would be the test, and Villa were very disappointing. And it kind of, maybe I overhyped Villa too much. Maybe I overrated them, because they've actually been very bad this season, and I think they're on 5 defeats in a row at the minute. So. I thought the Villa game will be interesting, especially what they did to us last year, and the fact that we got no points from them last season. So I thought that's a very good stamp, a good marker on the game. We can surprise on the day, man. You never know. You just never know. I agree. I don't think we'll get piped. If we do, it's because Liverpool are that outstanding. But the injuries you mentioned, I think this, if we can see 3, I'll be disappointed.
Yeah, I will see. I mean, you'll know by the time this comes out. But like the funny thing
is, what's that clean sheet? Oh, fantastic!
Oh, exactly, unbelievable. Like the thing is, what is so amazing about Anfield is obviously the atmosphere, and like when you're talking about the Emirates, and you can, like, me and Z have both been to games this season, and there is, as you mentioned before, a change in the atmosphere this year. There's multiple factors that you've mentioned already: the COVID issues, the fact that we have a team that seems to be likable. Like I'm sure you've seen on Twitter the amount of like fan cams and just the vibes of the fan base. It just feels like we have a team that's is likable again. From like Ramsdale doing rounds around the stadium after that full time, and Mikel coming out and applauding and stuff, and that you don't really see that before. I mean, as the DJ and as like someone who, let's be real, you feel like, I don't know if you feel like this, but I feel like as the DJ, you've got to be like the captain of the stadium sort of thing. Like you're the one trying to sort of control and like try and pump people up, a sort of thing. Like how do you think your role in terms of the atmosphere? What do you feel about that?
That's an interesting way of looking at it, because for me, I feel like the crowd's the captain, and I have to just make sure I keep that. I'm on par with what the fans are saying. Does that make sense?
Because that makes total sense.
If I become the captain, then it's like I can play whatever I like, and they just better like it. You catch my drift?
Yeah, totally.
For me, it's like I'm trying to feel the pulse. What's the pulse right now, and then play according to that. So that's the way I kind of look at it. You lot tell me what do you're in the YouTube game. The people, you look at your analytics and you say, do you know what do people like? This is what I cater to. And before because little things like, back in the day, it would be typical like rock music or whatever, pop music and whatnot. But every now and again, I might throw in a bit of, drill. I might throw in some hip hop. Things that are popping. And the fact that I think the crowd's younger these days as well.
It is.
So,
for sure.
There's people who've got headphones in their ear who listen to Stormzy on the way in. So it's like if they can hear Stormzy in the stadium, they'll be like, "Wait a minute, now this is home." I want people to feel like, and it's not just to play just the new school. I play everything, so that even if that one 80-year-old woman is in the crowd, she knows she's heard something that she listens to or that she liked or whatever else. But then same goes for the new school guy. It's trying to make that thing of. And more so nowadays, I like to cater to whatever songs, whatever chants there are of the players. Where does that song come from? So the Saka Smith Rowe song, for example, comes from Status Quo. So I play Status Quo so that the crowd can then go and do their thing. That's the whole idea. Go ahead. Go ahead, mate.
I was gonna say, bro. So Wait, is it you that decide to play WWE during halftime? Like
You're
WWE
damn
enters
right
in
it
there?
is.
I was gonna get onto it.
I
I was getting
always
into it.
wondered, like, who actually decides to play that? Because one, it gets me pumped, but number two, like, it's so like you don't hear that in any other stadium. Like, it's
Yeah.
mad.
Yeah, no, do you know what? I had been doing it for ages, and I think it was during lockdown because I think obviously now you could hear it through the TV, isn't it? So I think we played Liverpool at home, and Triple H's time to
Triple
play the
H,
game.
yeah.
That one caught the wind, and I was like, "Huh, this is interesting." I thought that's strange, but then there were some people on Twitter who were like, "Yeah, he's been doing this for ages," but like it just didn't, nobody really cared. And then like, as you said, Z, it gets you pumped, and that's the idea: is that it gets you pumped because then it gets you to cheering on the team, which then, like, as you can see, last season when we had no fans, there were more away wins than home wins last season, which is ridiculous, right? But now with the crowd there, the crowd actually is the 12th man, whether we like it or not. They really are. There's some stadiums where fans could literally suck a ball into the back of the net. Like it's one of those atmosphere, and I feel like this year, especially with how raw our fans are, sort of how upbeat our fans have been. The wins against Spurs, Arteta didn't even need to be there. Do you know what I mean? He didn't even need to coach nothing because the whole crowd took over that game for me. Just little things like that, and so yeah, I am responsible for the wrestling music and stuff like because it's
Also,
sort of upbeat kind of stuff. Do you know what I mean?
I had a question. Like, do you not feel
Yeah.
like, obviously, you're at the stadium as well. Like, do you not see like there's a bigger balance of younger fans at the stadium nowadays?
Oh,
Usually when I used to go like 3 years ago, whenever I used to look left to my left to my right, there was always a boomer that was like screaming the worst. But now it's like it's like a teenager and it's like he's screaming out of his lungs, and he just it gives you good vibes. And generally, I think like they are the biggest part of why the atmosphere has been amazing. But what's your opinion on that?
Yeah, I think I totally agree with you, Z. In terms of like the younger crowd, like even the League Cup, the Carabao Cup games, yeah, because they're much cheaper tickets. I mean, everyone in Islington is at that game. Do you know what I mean? And I don't know if you remember the atmosphere, like against Leeds in the Cup, against AFC Wimbledon. I mean, it was absolutely like rocking. And I thought this is a fourth round Carabao Cup tie. What's going on here? And it made me realize, back in the day, they always used to say, stop pricing fans out. If you make like a little section where you can let kids go in for like 10 20 quid, you will get a better atmosphere. And I was always skeptical about it. I was always like, why does that guarantee atmosphere? But mate, I'm seeing it before my very eyes, and I've been at the Emirates for a good 5 years now. This is the most amped I've seen it. Definitely because of the younger crowd, definitely because I think social media's got a huge part to play in it. And even just like the YouTube game, the kind of the football YouTube world, like every football club's got about 20 channels about their team, and I think that you're getting into more conversations with non-Arsenal fans, and it's like we want to stick one up them, we want to beat Man United when they come over, we want to beat even more so now because you're meeting all these people virtually on the internet, and it's like it kind of creates, it's more than just 3 points against Villa, it's 3 points against Villa, which means we've climbed up the table, which means we're above Man United, which means I can give it to that Man United fan next week. And you know what people are like. They hold you on your word from, like, say at the beginning of the season, you're saying we might make top 4 this year. Someone's saved that tweet. They've saved it because they're ready to give it to you in May.
I've saved that tweet.
It's ready to
go. Exactly. So, but there's more to it, man, because we've all got friends that are into football. There's like an atmosphere. There's a market that's built up where all of us we know like 100 people virtually who support different teams, and so it's creating it more, man. I think that's what's probably really got it's a much popular thing, FIFA and all these sort of stuff. You know what I mean? Like the games and stuff. It's just it's all together. It's all together.
Like I found it mad though today. Like when I was looking at the Sunderland tickets, it's sold out. Like the bottom tier is gone. When do you ever hear that for the? Is it the
Carabao?
Yeah, it's quarterfinal, I think. Yeah,
quarterfinal. When do you ever see that for a Carabao Cup game in December when people are meant to go out for Christmas shopping?
Exactly. It's like the 21st of December, isn't it? So
something like that, yeah.
There's and I think Sunderland are bringing 9,000. I don't know if I've read that correctly, but I think they're bringing 9,000 down. So they're taking the whole clock end, which is mental. You know, Sunderland to Arsenal, that is a mission. You try to do that on a Tuesday night.
That's 7-8 hours.
God help
That's a
you.
long
Listen, mate,
drive.
I've done Borough away. When people tell me I'm not a real Arsenal fan, I've done Borough away on a Monday night. Yeah, and that was after we lost 3-1 at Palace. Do you remember you're not fit to wear the shirt? That game.
Yeah.
The next Monday we were away at Borough, and I went up there.
I think my longest is probably Newcastle away, and I just come off the plane back from uni, and literally it was a Monday night. I came back on the Sunday night, traveled to Newcastle straight, and then went to.
You had Newcastle on a Monday night. What season was this?
Let's have a look. Let's find out.
And by the way, did you not pass out when you got to the top of the stairs?
Oh my God! Don't remind me. Don't remind me. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, I've done a Newcastle away stint before, and that is the blood pressure.
Christ.
Jeez.
Yeah, no idea.
Jesus Christ! It was.
And yeah,
I've heard the view is like so bad.
Do you know what? It's high, isn't it? You're very, very high. I mean, I can see the whole town of Newcastle, more than I can see the pitch. But I thought in the Premier League you had to have away fans on the lower tier. So I don't know why Newcastle seemed to be exempt from this rule. It really baffles
like Barcelona, innit?
You know? I haven't been there, but I've heard it's a joke. San Siro I've been to, mate. That you're walking for days. That's a bop as well.
That's just a mad one. It's a mad one. The thing is, like, if you think about what do you think? For me, I think best away day is probably, I would say Goodison. I would agree with you there. I think the worst is definitely probably something like Newcastle's up there. I would say Leicester was never great.
I've never done Leicester. Leicester not great.
It's not great. I mean, the thing is, it's hard because all of like our away support is amazing. Like it's sort of like even like throughout the entire like decade I've been going to games, I don't think there's been an away day where I've been like, oh, this is shit. Yeah. I mean, I think favorite like memory has got to be 5-3 Chelsea. That was.
Were you there? Yeah.
I was there. Yeah, I still have the tickets. I have the ticket somewhere. Andre Santos dancing around.
The slip from Terry. You gotta love that. that was a classic Theo Walcott goal in terms of like, did he mean it? Did he not? Who knows? You know what I mean? Like
mental.
That was Theo Walcott in a nutshell. That summed him up.
Do you have a favorite away day, or is there?
Oh boy. So in terms of, if we categorize it in terms of atmosphere, my favorite away day has definitely been probably Goodison. In terms of actually best day away, I actually want to say, it will probably be Goodison again when Iwobi made his debut or scored his first goal.
Yeah.
Scored his first goal. I was at that game. That was really, really good. I'm trying to think of any other good away days. I went to Spurs away, the last one at White Hart Lane, but we got beat. So it was like, it was rough. Have you ever done Spurs away?
I have done Spurs away, but like I've never. But the thing is, I've never actually gone into White Hart Lane. I've only done like Spurs away in terms of like going to like the pubs, buy the thing. I've never actually gone inside. Like I've never done that. I need to do that at some point.
Try doing Spurs away while sitting next to Spurs fans at White Hart Lane. That's what I've been doing. Oh my
God. No.
Yeah, that is horrific.
There was one at Wembley when I was right on the seg line. Literally right on the seg line. So we had like Spurs fans literally an arm's length away. And, they didn't put any like proper segregation line in there. They just had some like black net. And I remember it was the one where Lacazette's through on goal and he's gone wide. We lost 1-0. And I remember like it was a horrible day. It was raining and everything else. And that was an awful day because it's like it was 70,000 Spurs fans singing and it was just like, oh, they're bad. That's got to be my worst away day probably. Between that and Liverpool when Wenger benched Alexis, I couldn't believe it. He benched him and we lost 3-1. That was a horrible one. 2017.
Yeah, that was bad. Like for me, worst away. Oh, there's some tough ones. There's some big ones. I think the Man City 6 has got to be up there.
Ooh, of course.
That's
Were you at the 6-3? Was it the 6-3?
6-3, yeah, the 6-3.
Walcott scored an absolute banger in that game.
He did.
I remember,
he did.
You know, that 2014 season is another one, isn't it? It's another one of those seasons where
almost
we don't realize it, but it was almost. If we just signed a striker, we needed a striker that season, because going in there with Giroud and Sonogo, I mean, with all due respect,
Hey, respect the Emirates Cup legend, okay? That guy.
Listen, I call him the Borussia Dortmund legend because of his goal inside, what was it, 30 seconds when he started a Champions League game.
Man said he wanted to be a mailman. And literally, that was his thing, man.
Imagine.
Jesus Christ! Like we've had some mental people. That's what I'm saying. With Wenger, he loved taking like people that were just sort of like mentally sort of like there's something wrong with them and just sort of challenging that. Like Ben is another one.
And he always talked about mental strength. So it was so contradictory, wasn't it? I was sick of this mental strength thing because I was like, come on, man, look what you're giving us. But had we signed Suarez that summer, that's a different.
That would have been another monster. That's another monster mentality.
It's a monster, but that's the thing, though. Yeah, you're right. Wenger liked some mental people for sure, and it was just like he knew that there was a genius to him. Do you know what I mean? There was a genius to them. That's the thing. But 2014. God,
Jesus Christ! Like if I'm gonna think about it, like in terms of like the almost seasons, like I think 08-09's got to be my favorite because like the football we were playing in that season. Which is
you mean 07-08 or do you mean 08-09?
It must be 07.
I mean 08-09. No.
Okay.
Because the one with the Champions League quarterfinal where we got spanked that year with when we were playing with Fabregas and Nasri and Haleb and all them, man.
Okay. So this was with Nasri. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm with
you. So that season, because like I remember going to that because I went to that one with the Ronaldo crazy goal.
Oh.
I was at that Emirates one, and I remember going to that game thinking we have a chance here. We actually have a chance to actually do something this year in the Europe, but like, goddamn Ronaldo, man.
I watched that on TV, and again Almunia in goal. I'm thinking, how's he getting beaten from a 100-meter free kick? Do you know what I mean? He had no right to score from there. He had no right whatsoever. Did you have like the flags that day? I'm sure I saw like a massive presentation.
Yeah.
What was it? 7 minutes in, and Ronaldo scored the free kick. I thought, for flip's sake.
I was like, what is happening?
Mind you, we did well to keep it 1-0 away. Do you remember the week before or whatever it was? We got battered out there, but we kept it at 1-0. And I thought, bloody hell, we got a chance here. But then, that was. It was still daylight when he scored. Honestly, that game gives me nightmares. That game absolutely gives me nightmares.
Yeah, it's just mental. Like, for me, what it was like, if we're just talking about, like, what do you think? Do you think if we had won the Champions League that season? Do you think things would be like how like because obviously we wouldn't have to talk to Chelsea anymore. Like they would have nothing.
Yeah.
But like I just feel like that was the turning point for me. Like it just felt like that was sort of like it.
09, yeah? You think that was the one? That's the time when you think it turned?
I think it turned around 09. If we'd gone and done it that year, I feel like it was starting to get to the point where because it was 4 years without a trophy at that point.
Yeah.
Things were starting to just sort of wind down a bit. That was for me the season where it was like, okay, things are going a bit off field, and we started bringing in the Squillacis and you know what I mean, like the kind of like why are we signing these players sort of signings just because like Kim Kallström's one of my favorites. Like, we knew he had an injury. We knew.
Honestly, surely something changed hands there, man. Something changed. What on earth happened?
Like,
it's funny because in that 08 season, in that time, I used to think that, like Wenger is punching above his weight with his team. Because whenever I looked at the team and then you looked at Man United in 09, I mean, United in 09, with all due respect, they were an absolute monster in the Premier League.
Yeah.
Chelsea as well, in that time where Chelsea's a weird institution as a whole because
you're telling me, man.
They've always got the tools to absolutely dominate, and yet when you think about it, they're always falling asleep. Man City at that time were then starting to pick our players, weren't they? They were starting to start picking them off one by one. So for me, it was like, semi-final of the Champions League. Wow, that was amazing. Yes, if we'd beaten them, we would have gone on to play. We would have been Barcelona in the final, wouldn't it? So,
Again.
Which you see, the 06 final for me was so pivotal because
You think?
Yeah, because winning that, like, don't get me wrong, when Wenger started up, because one thing I don't really get as well is why he let so many of the Invincible team go so quickly. Like, we lost those players fast. And I think the only Invincible that went to the Emirates was probably Gilberto, Lehmann, and I want to say
Bergkamp did his testimonial there, but I don't know if that counts.
Yeah, as in, like, we're talking this in the league season.
Yeah.
He didn't take a lot. Even in the 06 Champions League final, I know we did bloody well to get to the final, but you look at the team he had. You look at the players that he had at his disposal then, and we still should have won it. In all honesty, we still should have gone in there. I know we were down to 10 men, but Henry had 2 moments where you thought,
yeah, that's it.
And he's never scored in a final for Arsenal, which I still can't get that out of my head.
I can't. It boggles my mind. You know what it was for me? It was what did you do when the camel head went in? I went slide because we have an open plan living room back in the day. So literally, I went from the TV to like the kitchen in like one slide, like straight through. It was like I lost it. I was like, this is it.
I didn't enjoy any of that final. I was so anxious, and I didn't know what anxiety was. I was anxious as hell. I'll never forget it because I was bricking it all day, thinking, and I don't know why I was not well. I was just not well. I was not feeling good. I was anxious about everything. And even when he scored, it was like, great. I just kept looking at the time. Hurry up! Let the time speed up. Let the time speed up. And then the 2 goals that sucker punched us. It was just like, I mean, do you remember when Lehmann got sent off? I kept saying, like, let them have the goal. Let's keep 11 men. I'd rather that.
Yeah, exactly.
But he took off Perez and kept on Fabregas. I couldn't understand
Perez
that.
left the next day.
Yeah.
He left the next day.
No wonder. I mean, he kept Fabregas on the pitch. Fabregas. We're talking. Yeah, he was brilliant that season, but my God, he was a kid, absolute kid.
But yeah, I mean. You know what it is? Because we are running out of time, but I do not want to end on the goddamn Champions League final loss in like the
no.
But like, because you know what it is? This is my last question to you. Like, going forward, like if there's something you want to say to Arsenal fans that are coming into the stadium, and like, if in terms of the community as a whole, like, is there anything that you would like want to say to people?
You know what? Number one, it's a privilege to go to these games because there are people around the world that want to go. Like, I got friends and family who are abroad and stuff, and they can't wait to come to see. I think we're playing Wolves. They're coming to see that game, and to me, it's like, whatever. Here's a ticket for the Wolves game. Blah blah. Right. Whatever. And for them, they're like, no, you don't know how much this means to me. And I'm like, dude, calm down. But then at the same time, it's made me think, nah, Pete, pump the brakes. You think, you've become so used to it. You've forgotten what it was like not being able to get tickets to go to that game. Number one, I'll say that, because not everybody gets to go to football matches. When you're there, you've paid your money. You might as well go out there and back the team throughout the entire night. Throughout the entire day, because I've seen crowds change results. That is one of the huge, Liverpool and their atmosphere. Like you said, remember when Klopp joined? It was a dark time at Liverpool. And do you remember the time, like, under Brendan, under even Kenny Dalglish, Roy Hodgson? It was a time and period where Liverpool fans were not enthusiastic about anything, and the results showed. Now, I would say to fans, like, look, just not even say be patient, because I know we've waited long enough. We've waited long enough to be in a title race, but it's one of those things where, like, football is swings and roundabouts. It's one moment we're going to be on top. One moment it's going to be Chelsea on top. It's going to be United on top. It's going to be whoever, and it's don't take it too seriously. Does that make sense?
100%.
Like, don't make it like your life depends on the weekend's result. Because then, dude, you'll be suicidal, man. Football there's far more losses than wins in terms of football, in terms of trophies and stuff like that in football. Just go out there and back the team. Enjoy the atmosphere right now. Soak it all in. Drink it all in, because, mate, we are at such an enthusiastic state for a team that's not done so great of late. It's, you better get in there and drink it in. It's soak up the atmosphere. Love the fact that we got kids from Hale End playing in the first 11, no brainer, and doing well for us. Yeah, man, because the team I think need us more than we think, more than we even give it credit for. And I think Arteta's been very clear about that as well.
100%.
So I think in order for, because look, they're all confidence players. You know what I'm saying? There is a bit of like Walcott and Jovinios and Shamaks of this world. They were very much, when the tide was going the right way, they looked unplayable. But as soon as they lost confidence, they never came back. And I feel that same way with players like Ramsdale. I know Ramsdale's doing phenomenal. In fact, arguably signing of the season and whatever else. But I know full well if the crowd turn on him, it could really affect him.
It would really affect him.
Do you know what I mean?
The perfect example is Sander-Ting Theo. Like, that guy was, like, you remember that 6-month period when we weren't sure about whether he was going to sign or not, and he was just insane. I think that wasn't that the 4 goals against Newcastle Theo as well when he was. Yeah, like he was. That's such a good point, because like someone like Ramsdale, obviously, like he said before, like he growing up in League One and League Two, and I like having that ability to like connect with the crowd, even if they're trying to banter him and stuff. It is such a big part of his game as well, because like I feel like he has this. He's someone that needs that to keep his concentration on, because otherwise he might just drift through games.
Absolutely.
So it's such a good point.
I was at his debut at West Brom away, and I think he was taken aback by the fact that we were so behind him. We were singing his name from minute one, and because I think all the social media stuff was like, "Oh my God, Aaron Ramsdale, 30 million, blah blah." He was getting rinsed on social media before he even put on a glove. And then we were at West Brom, and everyone was singing his name, and there were like different types of songs with his name in it. And he took it, and he was like, "Flipping hell!" Like, he couldn't believe it, sort of thing. So it's a big thing. I think he still goes to AFC Wimbledon games now.
He does. I've seen him.
There was a picture of him at the game, and I thought, because he was player of the season for Wimbledon then. The connections with the crowd, I think, more so, especially because again, he's a younger player. He's not the old school guys who were like more mentally, let's say, stronger, or more. They would have a Sir Alex Ferguson as a manager, or a George Graham as a manager. People that were hard men. Whereas now it's a case of it's more psychology driven. If they're mentally right, if they're feeling good, then they thrive. So yeah, absolutely. I think Arsenal fans need to get behind this team, especially because a lot of them are your age. You know what I mean? It's like, you know what it's like going out there playing football. The Sakas, the Smith Rowes, Tavares, all these players, they need us.
Support, man. They need the support. This is the thing.
1,000%.
On that note, first of all, thank you, Pete, mate. I appreciate it.
No problem,
Well, I'm sure I'll come back and discuss some more F1 with you at some point. But before we go, just make sure you shout your stuff, just so people know to find you.
I do a bit of football podcasting myself, as you can see there at Top 4 Podcast. It's a group of guys of us who've been talking about football since when Top 4 became a thing. We're talking back ages ago. So doing that. Peter on Pole is my Formula One stuff as well. So if you like your Formula One, jump on board. It's a good title race as well this season. So, at DJ Selenki on Twitter. And that's mainly where I'm about.
All right. Thank you, man. So we've got Priv Arsenal Z as well, and my name is Karen at Karen BOP. Please follow us at BOP Footy. Follow the other guys, George VA _AFC and the One Willow and POCKK on Twitter. Thank you guys for tuning in, and we'll see you in a bit. Thank you so much, by the way. All right, peace guys.